In this video, I'm going to be sharing with you more tips on how to grow your edges back fast, how to keep them, and I'm going to be sharing tips that most YouTubers don't usually share with you. So if that seems like something you're interested in, make sure you stay and listen all the way till the end because we only have about 6 points. They work great together. They can work separately, but they work best together. If you don't know me, my name is Angelica. I post videos about growing long natural hair, healthy natural hair, and a little bit of skincare and makeup here and there. So if that seems like something you might be interested in, consider subscribing. The subscription button is right down there, as well as the bell icon. Make sure you hit the bell so you get notifications every single time I post. Also follow me on my Instagram right here if you'd like to see some content I don't usually post on this channel. Without further ado, let's get straight into the video. Okay, so first off, I just want to start by saying having little to no edges is caused by many factors. It could be traction alopecia, which means it's been caused by mechanical manipulation, meaning you rip your edges out yourself, whether it's by braiding or doing hairstyles that are too tight, by friction. It could be something genetic, maybe just your age causes your hair to start balding at a certain age, or it could be your hormones changing if you're going through a big hormonal change like puberty. If you're pregnant, if you just maybe went on the pill or you just went off the pill, and then other things like alopecia, which is an actual condition, not traction alopecia, but alopecia areata, postpartum shedding, and so many things like that. So this video is focused on helping you grow that hair back. I'm assuming if you're watching this video, then you've already reached the point where your hair has already shed, or you've started to notice that your hair is massively breaking off, or let me just say your edges are gone, or you're on the way to losing your edges. Anyway, I do have quite a few other videos on growing your edges back, so in this video I'm not really going to repeat the tips I've already given in that video, so I will link the playlist all about growing your edges in the description box below and at the end of this video, so make sure you look for that. For now, I'm just going to focus on some tips that I haven't shared before. Okay, so the first thing you want to do on the step to growing your edges back fast, to see what your most common hairstyle is. It doesn't matter if you think it's a protective style or it's not a protective style or you don't do anything. See what state your hair is in most of the time. Do you keep your hair in a head wrap all the time? Do you keep it in twists? Do you keep it in box braids? Is it in cornrows all the time? What is the hairstyle? Even if it's just a high puff, do you put your hair in a high puff every day, in a low puff every day? Whatever the hairstyle is, look at what that hairstyle is. There's a high chance that that hairstyle you're doing every day or very often is having a huge impact on your hair. And the first way you can try and see if that is a problem is to change that hairstyle and not permanently change it, because doing any hairstyle in the same form every single time can lead to breakage in those specific areas. So for your edges, whatever you're doing every single day, that could be causing breakage on your edges. So when you change that hairstyle, change it first of all to another protective style, but also don't change it permanently. So let's say you keep your hair in a low puff every day. For the next 2 weeks, keep your hair in maybe big loose twists, and then after that maybe keep your hair in a head wrap for another 2 weeks and start to see if your edges are improving. If your edges start to improve after that, note that whatever hairstyle you were doing first, that is the main issue that has been causing your breakage on your hairline, and you need to stop doing that. And then under the same point, I'm going to give this one if you have dreadlocks, because this is a similar tip to if you have box braids or if you have twists, and I'll tell you why. Most people with dreadlocks grow their hair actually really fast, if you notice that, and one of the main factors is because they are not manipulating their hair, which means they don't constantly change their hairstyle. They don't do anything. The hair is just left alone. They are not detangling and breaking any hair. None of that is going on. And that is something we can learn from people with dreadlocks. But here's a big thing that affects people with dreadlocks, and it is hair loss on their hairline. A lot of people with dreadlocks have really, really bad edges, and it's even worse because when your hair starts receding, it's not like you can just say, oh, let me like put a weave in or whatever. It's hard to kind of cover it up because it's right in the front of your hair and you have the dreadlocks. And the reason why a lot of people with dreadlocks have very bad struggles with their edges is because they constantly retwist the front section. Even if they don't do the back rows or anything, just to make it neat, maybe the first 2 rows of dreadlocks will be retwisted, which means they kind of comb them out, add a hair gel or whatever product they decide to put, some kind of wax, edge control, whatever they use on the edges, and retwist that area is extremely harsh manipulation, because first of all, your hair is already very fragile on your hairline. No matter how strong or good your hair is, your hairline is still more weak and fragile than the rest of your hair. So if you constantly touch up the front part of your hair, there is a chance that you actually rip your edges out, and that mechanical manipulation is ripping your edges out. So the reason why I brought up dreadlocks but also included twists and box braids is because People with twists and box braids do the same thing. After about a month or maybe 3 weeks, however it takes for your hair to start looking very frizzy and like untidy in the front, this is where people will either take down the entire front section of the braids and rebraid them, or they will add like a hair gel and an oil and something like that, some water, and then they will stretch the hair that's underneath the big box braid or whatever, retwist it, and then clip it back and let the hair dry. Does this make the hair look neat? Absolutely. But in the long run, if you're trying to grow your edges back, this will just rip your edges out. And also, please do not use the same protective styles that damaged your hair to restore your edges, because I see a lot of people doing this. For example, if you do box braids and twists and they have ripped out so much of your edges, to cover up the fact that your edges are missing, you will go ahead and braid the exact same hairstyle to cover the damaged edges, and all that does is make your hair continue to recede and go further and further and further back. And honey, broken hair is not edges. Please do not do that. If you have this big of a section of baby hair, it's damaged hair. The second tip is a tip I can't even believe I'm giving, because this is actually a thing. People relax their edges so that they can lay better. Now, I understand the appeal of not having to put so much gel and use so much effort and do that just to make your edges lay down flat. But first of all, our edges don't have to lay down flat, okay? They don't have to lay down flat. People are relaxing their edges, their hairline, and that is causing bad breakage, because first of all, your edges are going to be a completely different texture than the rest of your hair. So probably as you are blending it in, that difference in texture is contributing to breakage. Also, your edges are very short, which means you're going to have to continue relaxing them many times. You're gonna keep adding so many chemicals many times over. So that hair is usually about 1 to 2 inches long, and once you relax your hair, once you chemically process it, it will never go back to its original texture. So anytime you put more relaxer over that same section, you are just double relaxing that part, and you are over processing the same hair. So eventually it's going to get so damaged and it's just going to break off. Also, if you frequently color your hair, especially if it's a lighter color, like you bleach your hair blonde, there's a chance that you're constantly having to touch up your roots. And when you touch up your roots, of course, you touch up your edges, and your edges get over processed, and your hair starts to break off because it's dry, it's brittle, and it's just over processed. So try and stop doing these things for a short amount of time, and you will start to see your edges grow back, I guarantee. The third thing is to do with protective styling with added hair. Now, this is something I don't frequently do anymore, although it does help even when I did do it in the past. It's just that right now in this time, I really can't find anyone to braid my hair. I am considering trying box braids on myself, but they'll have to be large ones because I don't have the energy to do the usual style, the usual size that I do, which is still about a medium size. I never do micro braids, micro twists, micro anything, but I might be willing to try box braids. Now, box braids are actually great for me for growing my hairline, and the reason is I don't make them extremely long, and I use a not huge, but the amount of hair that I use in my braid is about the same as the braiding hair that I'm going to add. So first of all, if you are adding hair and you have very fine hair on your edges, or you just have very short hair on your edges, if you decide to do long box braids, even if you get the perfect amount of your own hair to add to the braid, the weight of that braid will just be too heavy for your own hair, and it's going to cause that hair to either start coming out slowly, and as it's doing that, it's going to be breaking. And also sometimes the braid will literally just drop off, and when it drops off with a piece of your hair, and that hair is gone, it is damaged. So whether it is a braid, whether it is a twist, if you're using braiding hair that is extremely heavy compared to the actual hair that you have in your hair, also the thickness and the density, this can cause hair loss. So you might be thinking, I'm actually doing everything right. I'm doing a protective style, I'm taking big sections, I'm not retwisting, and I'm not adding gel to my hairline, but my hair is still falling out and it's still ripping out. The reason is possibly that the weight of the braiding hair is causing that hair to just fall off because it can't stand it. Question of the day: have you ever had hair loss in a certain specific part of your hairline, whether it is just a bald patch or losing almost all your edges? Let me know in the comment section below what you did to grow your hair back. Did I mention in this video or another one of my videos? Or is there something else that I didn't mention? I'm sure I would love to know, and everyone in the comment section would also love to know what you did to grow your edges back fast. Let's get into the next point. The fourth thing is that you massage oils into your scalp every single day or multiple times a day on dry hair. Now, by dry hair, I don't mean you should wet your hair first. I mean if your hair has not been moisturized. I see a lot of these tips that say, if you want your edges to grow fast, I'm gonna show you this oil mix that I make, and I put this oil on my hair like every day, and it makes my hair grow. But you might not retain the length, and you might actually be losing hair because that manipulation, first of all, if you don't know how to massage your hair, I actually have a video of that. I'm going to link it in the eye right here. You can check it out on how to massage your hair, whether it is in braids or whether it is out, it doesn't matter. That's the same way I do it on my hairline. Now, here's the thing. If you massage your hairline with oils on dry hair, all you are doing is sealing in the dryness, because oils are not moisturizers. They can help seal in moisture, and oils do have a certain water content, so they can provide some temporary moisture, but it is not enough. So every single time you oil your hair, which I suggest about 3 times a week, you don't have to do it every day. You can massage your scalp every day, but you don't have to oil it every single day, because that could just be too much and you could end up clogging your follicles, which is not a good thing. Your hair just has to be moisturized. So what I would suggest is at least spray water. If you're not going to use any moisturizer, just spray water on your edges. Section the hair off if it is not in braids or anything like that. If it is in any sort of protective style, then you want to just do it like this way. Right now my hair is in twists, and this is just amazing me at this point. Can you believe I can actually tie my twists and fold them? That is ridiculous to me. A long time ago, I wouldn't have been able to even keep the twists in my hair this long. So anyway, what I would do is, if my hair is in twists like this, I will go ahead and get my water. This is actually rose water in here. If you'd like to see a video on that as well, I did one just recently. I'll also link it in the eye and at the end of this video so you can check it out. So I would spray this rose water right on my hairline. If not, I would spray some plain water, or sometimes I would even follow up with a moisturizer. If it's been a couple days that I forgot to do anything and my hair is feeling very dry, I will spray a little bit of water, add in a leave-in conditioner or moisturizer. Then I'll go in with my oil mix, which is like almost done now, but it doesn't matter. Just use any carrier oil, even olive oil, argan oil, whatever. Add in a little bit of peppermint and tea tree. I'm just browsing through this because I did mention this in my other edges video, the oils that I use. So anyway, if you want to mix in those oils, you can go ahead and do that. Then massage your scalp, and that will promote hair growth. It will keep your edges moisturized, which means they won't be breaking off throughout the week. Now here's the thing. When people say add oil to your hair and moisturize and rub it in every day. The thing is, if your hair is already dry and then you add an oil on top, you are just sealing in the dryness. So maybe that moisturizing is going to stimulate the hair growth, but it's also going to be breaking your hair off because the hair is already dry and brittle. So even during the massaging process, although you don't really rub your hair and it's just more like this, and you're just kind of improving the circulation to your scalp, it could still cause breakage because your hair is so dry. And also throughout the week, any kinds of friction, anything that goes on your edges will also just break it off more because all you've been doing is sealing in the dryness. The fifth tip is so important because it is one of the things that everybody kind of rushes to do once you realize that your edges are breaking or they have gone on vacation and they don't look like they're coming back. Here is the thing. We get very embarrassed about our edges, and this is because it is right in the front of your hair and there's very little you can do to cover it. If you have a bald spot or a patch anywhere else in your head, it's very easy to just do a hairstyle, tie your hair, do whatever to cover it up. But with your hairline, it is right in the front. And the main reason of why this embarrassment causes your edges to get more damaged is because you try to keep finding ways to cover up that damage. And one of the biggest ones is doing wigs, weaves, braids again, and head wraps. So you might be thinking, well, those all sound like protective styles, so shouldn't they be growing my hair? Yes, if you're doing them properly. So I'm going to start with wigs. With wigs, if you're covering up your damaged edges with wigs and your edges are already severely damaged, it could go one of two ways. One, your hair is extremely dry because you put the wig over every single day and you don't moisturize your hair underneath. You add wig glue, gel, edge control, whatever it is to make your hairline lay flat to put your wig on. That sucks up all the moisture from your hair. It keeps your hair hard and dry, and it also kind of sticks to the wig cap. So if you don't remove the wig properly, as you're taking the wig off, you could be ripping off some of your edges. And also just the friction from the wig, even if you don't put the gel and you don't put anything else, you just put the wig on top and then there's the wig band to hold it, to just hold it as it moves kind of a little bit throughout the day, that friction will be ripping your edges out even more. And notice that when your hair is already coming out, when your edges are already severely damaged, it is much more easier to damage them than if your hair is already on the healthy side. The second way the wigs can damage your hair is the complete opposite of the dryness. And this is you heavily moisturize your hair too much, like it's just wet. Heavily moisturize, you add all these oils and stuff under your wig, then you put your wig on top and it creates this very like humid environment, and then your hair is just like has a moisture overload. It is extremely soft and mushy and so easy to just break and snap and rip off and come off of your scalp. And then no oxygen is going there. It's just like probably even promoting mold because you're wearing your wig every day, and it's still ripping your hair further. So the more you're like, let me cover up these edges, I don't want to see them, I want my hair to look neat, the more you're damaging them. If you leave them, your hair is going to grow so much thicker, and that embarrassment time is going to last for such a short time. A head wrap is the best option, but I would always say make it very loose. Underneath, wear a silk or satin bonnet to kind of cover that part, or a silk or satin scarf, just to make sure your hair is protected and the moisture is not coming out. But try and leave your hair and your edges out to breathe as much as possible. Now, under the same point, we're going to go to weaves, which is one of the worst ones. It could be a protective style, but this is the style that has the highest chance of damaging your hairline. And this is because there's so many forms of manipulation before you even get to the protective style. So usually when you have a weave on, you usually blow dry your hair to make sure that your braids are as flat and neat as possible so that they don't come out. If you do it on curly hair, there's still manipulation. As you make every single part, as you detangle and make every braid, that's the first step of manipulation. The second step is sewing your braids down. If you have longer hair, sewing that braid down as the needle is going through your hair and the cotton is running through, that's the second level of manipulation on the rest of your hair. If you're going to do a closure and that closure is going to be sewed down, whether it is just by your part or it is a full frontal, when that's being sewn down, that's the next level of manipulation. And then if you're going to have a wig with a closure and you glue it down, that's like the wig thing. It's going to be glued down and you'll be gluing that multiple times. Or if it's just the hair being sewn in, as the tracks are being sewn into your hairline, that is going to be damaging your hair. Bonding is still a thing. I don't know why it's still a thing, but people actually glue pieces of hair like within the part on the hairline to make it look natural, and that glue will be drying, damaging, and ripping your hair out and damaging your follicles, and this can cause permanent damage to your hair. So this is why I say weaves are the worst form of protection, especially if your hairline is damaged. And the last way in a weave is if you leave your edges out, which seemed like a good idea. But when you leave your hair out, there's that leave out, whether it's in a part and then just in the front or just the part at the front. You're going to have to continue to do so much things to manipulate your hair to match the texture of your weave, whether it is curly. If it's curly, you're probably going to have to do like wand curls with heat or flexi rods or whatever it is to match the exact texture of your braid, of your weave. Or if it is straight, you're going to have to be straightening your hair or manipulating it in some way to make sure it matches the rest of your hair. And that mechanical manipulation can cause excessive damage on your hairline and your edges. Now for the sixth tip, for the sake, because I know I'm going to get these questions, I'm going to mention some products. Now the reason you've noticed why I've put the products last is because the products you use on your edges or on your hair in general are the last important thing when it actually comes to what's going to make your hair grow or make it stop growing. The way you use your products and the way you style and keep your hair have a much stronger effect on the growth of your hair and the sustenance of your hair rather than the products that you use, and that's why I've put them last. So the first one is deep conditioner. Every single time you condition your hair, make sure you put extra deep conditioner on your hairline and all around the perimeter of your hair. Whatever deep conditioner you're using. My favorite one, if you have to know, is the Shea Moisture and Manuka Honey one. The second thing is a leave-in conditioner or a moisturizer. You can use these interchangeably. It doesn't really matter. So the leave-in conditioner that I like to use right now is the African Pride Miracle Moisture one. It is very, very affordable and it makes my hair very moisturized. I've used a few by Shea Moisture as well. And I usually change out my moisturizer a lot because I don't know, I feel like most moisturizers work for me. And then for the oils, my favorite oils to use are peppermint and tea tree oil, but these are essential oils, so I always have to dilute them into a carrier oil. On my hairline, I never use pure castor oil, and that's because it can cause moisture overload because it is a very thick oil, and even if I myself have very thick hair, it's still a little too much for me. Only if I have like a spot, if I did a specific hairstyle and I kept parting my hair in the same way, and maybe I have a little circle like here of like a little bit of hair loss, I might put castor oil just in that specific spot alone. But what my favorite thing to do is mix in castor oil with my other oils as well, just to lighten it a bit so that my hair can absorb it nicely. If it's just sitting on my hair for a long time, it can cause moisture overload and my hair will actually get too soft in that area. And as I'm massaging my hair or just manipulating my hair, it can make my hair break off and rip out easier. So that's just a little tip for you. Whether you use plain castor oil or Jamaican castor oil, I would suggest you dilute it. But if it's in the rest of your hair, honestly, usually your hair can take it and it's perfectly fine. And now for the bonus point, and this is your genetics. Your genetics play a big role in how thick and full your hairline can be, early balding or something like that. So if that's a situation like you start balding early, like everyone in your family starts to lose their hairline at a certain point, that is not your fault. You haven't done anything to it. And unfortunately, in that instance, the only way you could probably get your hairline restored is to do a hair transplant, and that is extremely expensive. It can definitely be done, but it's very expensive. If I find some costs, I'll put them on the screen, but I'm sure you can do your own research depending on where you are. Hairline transplants are possible, but they are extremely expensive. If it seems like you are doing everything right, you are not overprotective styling, you are doing the right protective styles when you do them, you are keeping your hair moisturized, you are doing everything, and it seems like all of a sudden you have a lot of hair loss, breakage, and stuff like that on your hairline, I would suggest you seek medical help from your doctor, from your dermatologist, whoever you can see for this. I would suggest you seek help from them, because if it is sudden and you know you are doing everything right, they might be an internal problem. It might be a reaction to a certain medication you're taking or you've stopped taking, like I mentioned in the beginning, or you might just have an actual health problem, like an actual something wrong in your body, and it is reflecting in your hair. Give this video a thumbs up if you feel like you got anything value out of it, and consider subscribing. Hit my face there to subscribe if you didn't subscribe in the beginning. I also have another video about YouTube tips if you're thinking of starting a YouTube channel, and that channel is right here. Also watch the two videos on the side of the screen right here if you're interested in any of my older videos. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye.